Hey, what's up, everybody? You know, it's hard to believe that in May of this year, in just 3 months almost, we're going to be celebrating, well, not celebrate, but we will be reading the 225th issue of Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's ironic that the 225th issue is coming out because now it's been 20 years since the franchise began. Now, it's hard to believe that this game here is the one that started it all. And all these games that surround here, including some of the ones that are out today, have come out in the past decade or so, have all spawned from this and all part of the 20 years that Sonic's been around. It's hard to believe. I mean, this Mega Collection Plus is part of the 20 years as well because it gathers all the best in there. And what's more unique about this as well, is the fact that we actually, in the extras, when you go and click on the extras portion of this game, you get to see the comic book covers of Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, along with the spin-offs of Knuckles, Princess Sally, Tails, the Super Specials, you name it. So it's hard to believe it's been 20 years, it's going to be 20 years since this franchise began. Or it is 20 years. And it's also hard to believe that like I said, we're celebrating 225 issues. Because look at what I have here. This here is the 125th issue. This is going on 100 issues in May since this one was released. And when was this released? Oh, about the time the GameCube brought out Sonic Adventure DX. Which would be 2003. That's right. It says it right there. 2003 is when this came out. Hard to believe. It's hard to believe since this came out. 2003. And now, if you think about it, let's take a look at the month. It says September. Probably about August, maybe, when this came out, August, July. Probably August, September. So it's hard to believe that it's almost been 8 years since this came out. 7 last year, 7.5 years since this came out. 7.5 years still when we hit the 225th issue. But you know what's even more funny, folks? Is in the past 20 years of the overall franchise, in the past 20 years of the overall franchise of Sonic the Hedgehog, we have had people saying that the franchise is dying, only for it to come back better than ever with a game that changed people's minds, with games that change people's minds. Yes, there have been some disappointments, but it doesn't mean these disappointments last forever. But you know what's ironic though, folks, is that after we've celebrated this 20th anniversary of this franchise, that in 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be celebrating 20 years of this comic book. That's right. And it's ironic that when issue 125 came out, it was the 10-year anniversary of the comic. And now, when issue 250 gets released, it'll be 20 years. Now, some people may say, well, issue 250 is not going to make it that far. The comic's going to die before then, blah, blah, blah. You know, how many years have we heard, let me ask you this, how many years have we heard that? A lot, right? A lot. We've heard that so many times. And you know why we've heard it? Because it comes from fans that just don't get it. You see, in the past 20 or something years, this franchise first began, like I said, with this game right here. With this game right there. This game right there. That's where it began. And through it, like I said, the games that are on the back cover here, along with many others, spawned from it. But that's not the only thing that spawned from it, and the comic's not the only thing at all. The real thing that got a lot of fans becoming fans, if you will, got a lot of people becoming fans, was this show, Sonic the Hedgehog Stat AM. This is what made people fans of the franchise overall, not just the games, but of the franchise. And the dedication that this fan base had to not only the franchise, but to the very cartoon to one of the very first cartoons that spawned out of, and which is considered the most successful, fans actually demanded that we get a decent box set. As you can see, I have two of them. One that's yet to be opened, and one that is. And through that, we got more animated series. We got Sonic Underground out of it, which is debatable among fans. And Sonic X, which by today's standard is fans of the game's continuity, their Sat-AM. That's right, Sonic X, from the fans of the game's continuity, this is their Sat-AM. So, again, as I was saying, it surprises me that people still say that the franchise is in trouble. It surprises me people say that the comic book's in trouble. Well, in the past 20 years, this overall franchise has defied the odds. And now, following in its footsteps in 2 years, when it hits its 20th anniversary, the comic book would have defied the odds. Now, this is what really gets me, though, folks. This is what really gets me. This is what really irks me, if you will. The franchise is spawned off into many continuities, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, but it's spawned off into many continuities. Okay? The thing is, there are some games that follow the same continuity as the original and as the reboot back in '99. Those are the same ones that follow the same continuity. Now, like I said, there are some Sonic games that follow different continuities. Take a look at the Wii games, Sonic Colors. That may follow somewhat of the same continuity that's been going on for the past 20 years, but it's a little bit of its own. Then you take a look at Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic and the Secret Rings. I mean, Sonic Unleashed. You know, Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors may feel like they fall in the same category as the continuity of the past 20 years. They do, but there are a lot more differences. Now, more differences, and those differences are by the story that you read. The continuity-based games that I'm talking about go like this. From the original, all the way up to Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, the revamped Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, which people have debated over, saying it's not one of the best games in the world, to many others out there. Sonic Riders even falls in that same category. But these are all the same continuity. They're just like different chapters of the continuity. They're like let's put it this way, they're like a never-ending story with new chapters added every day. The same goes for the Sonic the Hedgehog 4 game that's on all your arcade area portions of your game systems. It's going by episode now. This is going by episode. So in other words, every episode's like another chapter, like a mini chapter added to this new chapter in the franchise and in the continuity. But when you take a look at games like Colors, which of course probably follows the same strategy or the same continuity in some ways, but you take a look at that in Werewolf, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, why would Sonic turn into a werewolf in the continuity? Don't make sense. I mean, yeah, it was probably a good game. I played it a little bit myself, but still, the thing is, it doesn't really follow suit on continuity that much. You know what I'm saying? But then again, like I said, you take a look at it, you take a look at Black Knight, you take a look at Secret Rings, you know, do they follow the same continuity? No. Black Knight and Secret Rings don't. They go into different continuities. You know what I'm saying? Different continuities. And there are many out there that just like it. Knuckles Chaotix was a game that followed its own continuity. Tails had a few games that followed its own continuity. Don't you get it? There are many other continuities out there. And I believe for the past overall 20 years, cartoons, games, and comic book wise, people have failed to realize that. Especially those that are fans of the games. I mean, like I said, Sonic X here is the game continuity's fan, is the fans of the game continuity. It's their SatAM. That's their SatAM. It's, you know, to them, it's the show that it's the better show, basically to them. Now, I like Sonic X. I do. I recorded all 3 seasons. And I bought, of course, the second half of the final season. But here's the thing. For the past 20 years, like I said, there have been different continuities, and people have not grasped that. I mean, the comic book is sort of a mesh, if you will. It's a combination of both the game and SatAM continuity combined into one original continuity. Now, the thing is, for the past 20 years, in the past 18 years, if not for the past, I don't know, 10 years maybe, the fans of the game continuity have been wanting the comic to represent more of the game. They have been wanting characters like Rotor, Antoine, Bunny, Sally, and even Dulcie to be gone from the comic. And they basically want them gone from the comic in favor of having the game characters, Amy, Cream, Vanilla, Blaze, Rouge, Shadow, and Knuckles in their place. That is what they've been demanding and asking for. But the thing is, writers after writer after writer, editor after editor after editor, artist after artist after artist have come out on message boards, have come out on their own sites, have come out on places like YouTube, Dailymotion, and Blip.tv, and have basically said the same thing that myself and many others out there have said. It's a mesh and a combination of both the game and SatAM continuity into one original continuity. And that, to me, is what they just don't grasp. I mentioned the games. A majority of the games have all followed the same continuity for the past 20 years. But there have been some games, some spin-off games, that have gone into own continuity. I can't name them all. I've named some of them. Maybe you can name them all or some that I've missed. But they have all spawned different continuities. And the thing is, fans just can't grasp that. They just can't. And the thing is, for 20 years, fans have always said that the characters in this comic that are non-game characters, the characters in this comic that are non-game characters, are not recognized by Sega of America. Well, you know what they say about that? They say, boo, you know what? And the reason they say that is because, like I said, you click on the extra section in this game right here, and you'll see that Sega recognizes them. You go back to 1997, Sega acknowledges it. You go back to Spinball, cameo appearance, Sega acknowledges them. The thing is, it's the fans that have been fans of the game continuity for the past decade or so that feel as though that the only continuity that counts is that one, and they don't count any of the other continuities. Again, the same continuity that's been used in the games for the past 20 years. Here's the same continuity that's been used for the past 20 years is in the comic book, but it's combined with the Satayam continuity as one original continuity. That's what it is. And again, there are multiple continuities, there are other multiple continuities out there that are in the game, that have been released as games. People may not want to hear that. People may say, that's not true. Guess what? It's true. Whether you like to admit it or not. And the thing is, they just, again, people just can't accept that. I mean, I can understand. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll be totally honest with you. If I'd gotten into the franchise around the same time these game continuity fans did, then guess what? I'd probably feel the same way as they do. But let me explain something. Archie Comics, Fleetway Comics, they've all appeased, they've all given you what you wanted. Archie Comics gave you Sonic X for 40 issues. Yeah, I know you probably wish it was longer, but at least they gave you that. Fleetway Comics did the same thing. They gave you a comic based on the game continuity. And it's still continued by people to this day as an online comic. But yet you don't want to grasp that. You feel that the main comic, the comic that's recognized the most all over the world, needs to be based mostly on the game continuity. Again, it is a mesh. It is a combination of two continuities into one. That's what it is. All right? Now, besides the debate on the continuity, for the past 20 years, this franchise has really given us a lot to talk about. I mean, in the past decade or so, fans like myself have discovered that there has been more that's come out of that. There has been more that has come out of this franchise than we've ever thought. I mean, back in the 90s and early 2000s, Sonic had his own Thanksgiving Day balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Okay, we knew that, we were happy to see that. But what I didn't know, and what fans didn't know until this past decade, was the fact that Sonic had a stage show in Sydney, Australia. that was a mesh, just like the comic, a mesh and combination of the game and Satyam. Why? Because they not only had Sonic, they not only had Tails, but they had Sally in there as well. So again, that proves that Sega does recognize them. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It shows you that this franchise has expanded in areas nobody knew of. I remember back in the late 90s, I purchased a tape. I think I still have it somewhere. And that tape was Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie from Japan. This was a 1 hour, a lot of you may know of this, it was a 1 hour OVA, original video anime, released in Japan. And it was more game based. But when it got brought over here to the US, and ADV, the video distributor of the movie, released it, they put in Satyam references. That's what they did. They put in, instead of calling the Land of Darkness just the Land of Darkness, they called it Robotropolis. Instead of calling Eggman, they called him Robotnik. You get what I'm saying? They had a few Satyam references, mostly Robotropolis. Okay? If that doesn't tell you that they like to mesh sometimes and put together continuities as one, then I don't know what people are thinking. But again, it just shows you how much this franchise has expanded in areas we didn't know. Now, one of the hottest debates, though, one of the hottest topics in the past 10 years, if not 20 years, in the past 10 years of the 20 years of this franchise, involves not just the comic book, but everything overall. And that is the whole love triangle situation, or the whole romantic situation. You see, in the past 20 years, and just recently, as a matter of fact, there have been fans that have voiced their disapproval of romance in the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, no matter if it's the Archie comic book or the Fleet Ray comic book. They have both voiced the disapproval for it. Now, they have a right to that. Those fans have a right to that. But then again, we have the fans on one side that they don't mind romance as long as it's a pairing they like. And on one end, we have the Sonic Amy fan base. On the other hand, we have the Sonic Sally fan base. And we've had a few other fan bases and shipping fan bases in between, like Sonic Blaze, Sonic Mina, whatever. Knuckles Julie Sue, Knuckles Rouge, Tails Cream, Tails Mina, Tails Cosmo, Tails Marina, whatever. Tails Fiona, Sonic Fiona, whatever. Get what I'm saying? We have had people talking about this for the past 10 years out of these 20s. Not just because of the comic book, but because of the franchise overall. Heck, we even have people talking about Sonic Sarah, Sonic Elise. But you know, the franchise overall has been, you know, the romance topic on the franchise overall has been a hot debate, you know, a hot topic for the past 20 years. Most importantly, when it comes to Sonic Sally or Sonic Amy. I mean, in the recent months, and I talked about this in my previous video, in the recent months, when the cover for this month's issue 222 by Archie Comics, was released, we had fans arguing over the fact that Archie Comics was throwing the Sonic Sally romantic pairing in their faces. and that having Amy on the cover just made her look like an idiot. And that because of this cover being released, we had fans going so far as to re-edit with their own software and everything, re-edit the cover so that it looks like it's not Sally Sonic's running with and carrying and running with, it's Amy. I mean, we even have somebody, and again, you can see this in my other video, we even had the same person re-edit the cover to where it's Amy carrying Sonic. I mean, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You know? But they're not kidding you. They're not. And what's crazy about that, folks, is this has been going on for the past decade. For the past decade, the whole Sonic Sally, Sonic Amy debate has been going on for the past decade. And when you add in other pairings like Sonic Fiona, Sonic Mina, Sonic Blaze, you know, the debate, it gets a little hotter, but not as much. When you add in Con Sally, when you add in Jeffrey Sally, when you add in Amy Tails, and all that, it gets hotter. It gets a little hotter, but not as bad. But when you just focus on Sonic Sally versus Sonic Amy, that's when the you-know-what hits the fan. Because there are fans nowadays, right now as we speak, that have gone on the head writer's message board, that have gone on other Sonic-related message boards, including one provided by Sega, that have all said that this is not right, that they want Sonic Amy. There are some that have said that, hey, it is right, Sonic Sally is what needs to be. And there are some, like myself, that are neutral either way. We don't care. But the thing is, for the past 20 years, 10 of those 20 years, this has been a hot debate. And what's heated this debate even more so is when you go back and you look at issue 78 and into 79 of the Archie comic book, and how the writers of the comic then worked in Amy's new video game design into the comic. And how did they work it in? They worked it in by having her wish on the Ring of Acorns to make herself older so that she could go on a mission with the Freedom Fighters to Station Square. But there's a majority of fans, Sonic Sally fans, non-Sonic Sally fans, and even some Sonic Amy fans that see the truth though. They see through it. They see the truth about Amy really aging herself was not because she wanted to go on a mission, it's because she wanted to be with Sonic. And hopefully Sonic would notice her. I mean, this is even hinted at. I don't know what issue it is. I don't know if it's issue 80 something, it's going close to the 90 issues. I believe it is. Issue 84, 85, I can't really think of it. 83, I can't remember. But Sonic and Tails go off, are sent to go look. Basically, we have the Freedom Fighters crashing outside of Station Square. They're leaving Station Square, and they crash outside of the mountain leading into Station Square. Now, Sally sends Sonic and Tails on a mission to go kind of pick up find some things that can help them out or something. And Amy wants, obviously you could tell, I can't remember what she says, but Amy, I guess, wants to go with them. But Sally says, don't even think about it. Now, some Sonic Amy fans might take this the wrong way, might take that the wrong way. As if it's Sally's way of saying, hey, I know what you want to do, you ain't going to do it, there ain't no way I'm letting you near my Sonic. Now, Sonic Sally fans might look at it like, oh, we know what she's up to. And the same could be said for the neutral fans, either the neutral Sonic Amy or neutral Sonic Sally, or just fans in general. They know what's going on. They know why she would want to go. And then, what really pissed a lot of Sonic Amy fans off is the fact that they had a backup story where Amy was being trained by Julie Sue, and she told Julie Sue the reason why she wanted to be trained. It's because she felt as though, hey, if you train me and it helps me become a better freedom fighter, Sonic's going to notice me and he's going to make me his girl. Again, this only fueled the fire of Sonic Sally fans and fans in general, either neutral or not, that looked at Amy's portrayal as someone that was willing to do whatever it took to get Sonic as her boyfriend. But again, here's the thing about the fans in general. Either the Sonic Sally, Sonic Amy, or neutral, the fans overall in general will, they will have to agree that the Amy in the video game continuity is a different Amy than she is in the comic book continuity. I mean, how in the world, in the game's continuity, when Sonic Adventure came out, could you explain Amy's design from what she was to what she was reintroduced as in that game? How can you explain that game continuity-wise? You can't. Comic book-wise, you can. And that's where the debate came in. The debate was, Amy is this age. But the debate from a comic book's perspective was, mentally she's still the same age she was before. Just physically, she's older. Mentally, she's not the same age as she is physically. And that's again where the debate came in, and that's what kind of fuels the fires between both sides, except for the neutral sides. But again, that has been one of the hot topics and debates for the past 20 years overall in the franchise. Now, do we expect it to do it again, and do we expect this overall debate and topic to continue for another how many years? We don't know. Another 10, 20 years? Do we expect it to go for another 2 years as we get ready to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the comic book? Possibly. But here's the thing. Here's another thing that's made this topic very debatable. It's the fact that the Sonic Amy fans who have a right, I will say this, have the right to feel how they feel about these situations, my opinion, just don't see that the fan base, and I mentioned this in my last video, they don't see that the fan base is outnumbered by the Sonic Sally support and fan base. Because that fan base and support has been around since '93. Sonic Amy's fan base really didn't hit the airwaves until about the mid to late 90s, up to basically 2000. That's when that fan base and support really started to get noticed. But still, it was overshadowed by the Sonic Sally fan base, which overall is a Sate-Am fan base. Now, I said this in my other video, if the shoe was on the other foot, I think I said this in my other video, but if the shoe was on the other foot, if the roles were reversed, if Sonic X came out in '93 and Sate-Am came out around 2003, then there's no doubt that the Sonic X fan base and the Sonic Amy supporting in fan base would outnumber and overshadow the Sate-Am and the Sonic Sally fan base and support. But again, because the roles are not reversed, and because Sate-Am has been around longer, that is why that support there for the Sonic Sally pairing and shipping overshadows the Sonic Amy one. And again, the Sonic Amy fans just can't accept that sometimes. But then again, there are Sonic Amy fans that are neutral and do accept it the same way the Sonic Sally fans would accept the fact that would accept Sonic being paired up with Amy. It would be neutral. They wouldn't matter either way. But again, this has been one of, again, like I said, this has been one of the hot topics of the franchise overall. Now, the one question that a lot of fans have had in the past 20 years, especially when it pertains to the franchise, the game franchise, the Satayam series, the Underground series, the Sonic X series, is will there ever be a movie? An official movie? And as we have seen, there are a few people out there, and I mentioned this in one of my videos, I talked about it, that are working on films. Yes, the fan films. Yes, they are fan films, but they're working the best on them to at least give the Sonic franchise, whether it's a game-based film, a Satayam-based film, or a film combining the two, just like the comic book is, just like the comic book does. You know, they want to at least give Sonic that proper, I guess, thank you, or that proper acknowledgement that he's long deserved. So, again, there are fans out there, whether they're doing a game continuity game, a combination of both the game and Satayam, just like the comic is, or if they're doing an entirely Satayam-based game, or based movie, you know, at least they're trying to give, like you said, Sonic the proper acknowledgement and recognition for what the franchise has done in the past 20 years. And again, that's one of the hot topics as well. And one of the hot topic questions, would there ever be a movie? And again, like I said, that's what's going on right now. Now, some people will say that there is a movie. In fact, people actually have thanked me for even coming up with this suggestion, or even saying it and doing it. And that is, if you take the final 4 episodes of the Satayam cartoon series, Cry of the Wolf, Droodhead, Spyhawk, and the Doomsday Project's episode itself, and combine the two, and add and put the Doomsday Project title card first, and then very carefully fade in from black to black, fade in to the Cry of the Wolf episode, and just keep doing it, then you will have overall your movie on Sonic the Hedgehog, Satayam. And again, the same could be said for Sonic X. You got Rebirth of the Planets, the Sonic X finale saga, which could be a movie. The same could be said for Sonic Underground. They got beginnings, the first 3 episodes. They got the Chaos Emerald saga. I mean, just overall, Blast of the Past. Blast of the Past on Satayam could be looked at as an origin movie, if you will. But overall, there are movies or sagas or miniseries that, if you put them together, could be considered movies. But there's always the question: would Sonic ever get that official recognition in a movie, in an official movie? And again, there are some fans doing some fan films, animated and CGI, that are going to try to do just that. But besides that, the question everybody has is, would a major studio, DreamWorks, 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Universal, Dimension Films, would they ever give Sonic an official recognition in a movie? Would they ever give him that official theatrical film? Again, nobody really knows. Nobody really knows, but the thing is, people do acknowledge the fact that Sonic needs one, and again, you got 2 fans that are working on it, animated and CGI-wise. But overall, in closing, many things have happened in the past 20 years with the franchise. Many things that we've known of, we knew were going to happen, and we didn't even know until we found out about them. So the question is, what will the next 10 to 20 years bring? What will the next 2 years as we enter the 20th anniversary of the comic bring? We don't know, but hopefully we'll find out soon. But that's just my take on the overall 20 years of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you guys think, and I am out. Peace out. God bless.